The wedding dress hung in the lavish attic suite overlooking Portland, Maine. A diamond ring gleamed on the vanity, catching the amber streetlight that filtered through the window. My reflection shimmered, perfect, composed. But behind the glass, all I saw was unease. I had built my entire life around William Pierce, a name, a dynasty, a perfect promise. I believed stability was love. I stood at the door of William's penthouse, hand poised to knock, then his voice, distant, cool, deliberate, echoed from the other side. Charlotte? She's like a little sister, father. This marriage isn't about love. I heard glass shatter. Or maybe it was something breaking inside me. A sister. I wasn't the bride. I was an arrangement. A strategic merger. My sedan tore through the frozen Maine night. Neon lights flickered across the bus terminal as I drove past. They can buy companies. They can't buy my soul. Atlanta. A new start. My name is Charlotte Hayes, and I will write my own story. I stood motionless before the full-length mirror inside Portland's most exclusive bridal atelier. The woman staring back at me looked like someone I should envy. Tall, radiant, flawless. The white lace gown clung to me like a second skin, its silk train cascading across the black marble floor like a frozen waterfall. For a fleeting second, I looked like the princess my parents, Judge and Mrs. Hayes, had always wanted to present to the world. Charlotte. Darling, you're breathtaking. My mother's voice came from behind me. Warm, polished, and edged with the tension only the upper class could perfect before a grand event. She glided closer, her gloved hands straightening the tiny diamond tiara on my head. Are you ready for tomorrow? Everything at Trinity Church is finalized. All you have to do is smile and say, I do, sweetheart. I nodded. But my smile never reached my eyes. For 3 years, I'd been engaged to William Pierce, heir to Pierce Technologies, Maine's pride in the biotech industry. 3 years of photo ops, champagne galas, and rehearsed laughter under flashing cameras. William was every parent's dream. Harvard graduate, measured, polite, and unnervingly perfect. My parents believed this marriage would cement both our families' legacies, a merger of influence between law and innovation. A silent contract worth billions. But that perfection had begun to erode something inside me. I'd studied international relations at Yale, yet my true passion was computer science, specifically cybersecurity. I loved the precision of numbers, the control of systems, the quiet beauty of logic. William never cared for that side of me. He'd just smile faintly and call me Sunshine. The nickname sounded tender, but it was a cage, as if my only role was to shine quietly beside him, never to think too deeply. I remembered one evening a month ago, when I'd finally said what had been haunting me. William, sometimes I feel like I don't know you. Like we're just playing roles. He had placed his hand over mine, expression perfectly composed. Too composed. Don't be silly, Sunshine. We're a team. Everything's going according to plan. You're just nervous, that's all. Everyone gets cold feet before the big day. But he never said I love you. He'd only ever echo it back, like a polite reflex. I told myself, I grew up in a world where love was earned, not given. Maybe this is what adult love looks like. That afternoon, while sorting through the mountain of wedding gifts, all from Maine's most powerful families, something small caught my eye. A silver owl keychain had slipped from William's coat pocket, left behind by a housekeeper. The engraving wasn't his initials. It was a single letter, S. Samantha. The name rang faintly. I'd once overheard it in a hushed phone call. I forced myself to dismiss it. Don't overthink. He's a public man. He has to be careful. But the whisper of doubt inside me was growing louder, no longer content to be ignored. Tomorrow, I would become the future Mrs. Pierce, a figurehead in the biggest strategic merger of the year. Too perfect, a voice inside murmured. Too smooth to be real. My phone buzzed, pulling me back. It was William. Hey, Sunshine, his voice cooed through the receiver, every syllable rehearsed to perfection. I know you're busy enjoying your last hours of freedom. Just wanted to say, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Sleep well, future of Pierce Tech. The words should have comforted me. But the phrase future of Pierce Tech landed cold, mechanical, not the way a man speaks to his bride, but to a business asset. There was a wall between us, invisible but unbreakable. And I knew then. I needed to see what was behind it. Tonight. That faint whisper of unease had turned into a storm. I slipped on my black leather jacket, grabbed the keys to my old sedan, the one thing in my life not purchased by my parents, and drove through the frozen Portland night toward William's penthouse. The private elevator hummed as it carried me upward. My pulse pounded in rhythm with its mechanical ascent. When the door slid open, I found myself facing the ornate oak door I'd walked through so many times. My hand hovered, ready to knock, but then I heard it, William's voice. It wasn't the smooth, honeyed tone he used with me. It was sharper, deliberate, the voice of a man negotiating, calculating. "Father," he said evenly, "everything's under control. I'll be at Trinity by 10. By 11, Judge Hayes will have signed off on the contract. He's already committed." His father's voice, Thomas Pierce, was lower, skeptical. "Are you sure, William? That girl, Charlotte, are you certain she suspects nothing about our intentions? We're moving too quickly. If she finds out, the entire deal, the company collapses. She's smarter than she looks, you know. She's a judge's daughter." I pressed my back against the wall, trying to breathe quietly. I wanted to hear him deny it, even just once. I would have forgiven anything for a hint of love. William's response sliced through the silence. "Love? Father, that's a word for romance novels. This is business. Charlotte's like a little sister to me, a convenient companion for the cameras. The Hayeses understand their role. She's a perfectly appraised asset, nothing more. Sweet, but shallow. She believes in appearances. That word, sister, detonated inside me. I staggered back, clutching the railing. My lungs forgot how to breathe. But the conversation continued. "This marriage isn't about love," William said coolly. "It's a strategic merger. Judge Hayes will push the biotech contract through once we're married. $10 million doesn't appear out of thin air." Thomas's voice grew cautious. "Good. And Samantha? You've handled her?" My stomach twisted. William lowered his voice. "I'll see her one last time tomorrow morning before the ceremony. She knows Charlotte is just a strategic step. Once the deal is done, everything will fall into place. Don't worry, Father, it will be fine." The world tilted. All the chandeliers, the champagne, the rehearsed smiles, it was all a lie. I wasn't a bride. I was an investment. A living contract, sister, asset, strategic merger. Each word drove a nail deeper. I didn't knock. I turned and walked away, quiet as a ghost drifting down a red-carpeted hall. Back in my car, I gripped the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles blanched white. No tears came. Instead, a solid block of ice formed in my chest, heavy, cold, unyielding. I drove home through empty streets, the lamplight mocking my naivete with every flicker. When I arrived at the Hayes estate, the preparations were in full bloom. The house smelled of white lilies, their sweet, suffocating scent filling the marble halls. The flowers of purity, the flowers of lies. In my room, the wedding gown stood on its mannequin, its lace glimmering under the soft light. It wasn't a symbol of love anymore, it was a gilded cage. The price tag of a $10 million biotech deal, the uniform of a doll designed for display. I stepped closer, running my fingers along the fabric. Hatred surged like fire beneath my skin. They bought me. They priced me. And William laughed as he called me little sister. Anger melted the ice inside me, hardening into resolve. I wasn't merchandise. I was a woman. Judge Hayes could control the law. Thomas Pierce could manipulate the market. But no one could control me. I slipped off my diamond ring and placed it on the nightstand. Its sparkle was sterile, mechanical, a symbol of emptiness. I stared at it, not with sadness, but with contempt. Then I took out a sheet of family stationery and began to write. My handwriting was calm, deliberate, the script of someone finally done pretending. "Dear Mother and Father, I'm sorry. I can't go through with this wedding. I need time and space to find who I truly am. Please don't come looking for me. I won't be anyone's property. Charlotte." I folded the letter neatly, setting it beside the ring. Next came the packing. I reached for my smallest suitcase, the one I'd used for solo trips in college, the ones my parents had pretended never happened. No gowns, no jewelry, no designer shoes. Just jeans, t-shirts, and my old laptop, the one holding every hidden project I'd coded in secret. My laptop was clunky, outdated, but it was mine. I had only a modest savings account I'd opened years ago, hidden from my parents' control. It wasn't much, but it was mine. My freedom fund. At 3 a.m., I walked through the decorated garden. White lanterns swung gently in the cold wind. I passed through the electronic gate, hearing a soft beep behind me. I didn't look back. My sedan rolled out of the neighborhood, headlights cutting through the fog. I drove until the city lights gave way to the industrial outskirts, until I reached the only place that made sense. Not New York, not California, Atlanta, a city built on hustle, where people's worth was measured by skill, not surname. That was where I'd start again. I left the car near an abandoned factory lot and walked toward Portland's central bus station. It was nearly 4 a.m, a world away from the glittering ballroom I'd fled. The air reeked of diesel, cheap coffee, and cold metal benches. A flickering fluorescent light buzzed overhead. The announcement board listed destinations: New York, Miami, Dallas. Atlanta, I approached the counter. The ticket clerk, a weary man with deep lines under his eyes, didn't look up when I spoke. 1 ticket to Atlanta, I said, voice rough. Earliest departure. He tapped at his keyboard, then slid a paper ticket across the counter. 8 a.m., gate 3, good luck. 8 a.m. By that time, I should have been Ina lace gown, smiling for cameras. Instead, I'd be gone. I found a quiet corner of the terminal and opened my laptop. My last weapon. Step 1. Erase my trail. I transferred my meager savings into an anonymous crypto wallet, then bought a burner phone and prepaid SIM from a vending machine. Step 2. Kill the trackers. I removed the battery, SIM, and GPS chip from my official phone, sealed them in a foil-lined tin box, and dropped it in a trash bin several blocks away. I worked with the precision of a coder debugging a broken system. No room for emotion. Emotion had gotten me here. Logic would get me out. Energy conservation, I thought. If I pour all my energy into pain, I'll collapse. But if I channel it into movement, I'll survive. As dawn crept through the grimy station windows, turning the world soft and orange, a strange calm washed over me. I wasn't sunshine, I wasn't an asset. I was Charlotte Hayes, a woman with a backpack, a bus ticket, and a plan to rebuild. At 7:45, I stood, shouldered my bag, and walked toward gate 3. The bus ride to Atlanta was long. 15 hours of cramped seats, stale air, and strangers asleep on each other's shoulders. But the discomfort was cleansing. Every mile between me and Maine was another layer of my old life peeling away. Atlanta hit me like a rush of humid air and noise, alive, chaotic, unapologetic. I rented a tiny apartment near Midtown. 1 bedroom, peeling wallpaper, and a view of a brick wall. It was perfect. Rent came from what was left of my savings. Life was brutal at first. I learned how to live without housekeepers, without luxury. I enrolled in an intensive coding boot camp at a local tech institute, deciding to turn my passion for programming into a real career. For safety, I used the alias Carla Smith. In that classroom, I wasn't a runaway bride. I was just another woman trying to make it. My instructor, Nathan Cole, was in his 30s, a former Google engineer with an unshaven jaw and eyes that saw through excuses. Practical, blunt, unimpressed by wealth or beauty. He never called me Sunshine. He called me Hayes. Hayes, he'd say, scanning my messy code. You've got talent, but you keep writing what people want to see instead of what the machine needs to read. Data doesn't lie. Don't lie to it. His words stung, because he was right. My old life had been a performance of polite lies. That night, I rewrote the code from scratch. Then another. Then another. I let the logic consume me until 3 a.m., line after line, until I felt human again. Weeks turned into months. Then one morning, while scrolling news sites on a hidden browser, I saw it. The headline splashed across every business page. Pierce Hayes' wedding canceled at the altar. Judge Hayes, heartbroken. Pierce tech stocks plummet. I stared at it, unmoving. I could picture the chaos in Portland, the embarrassment, the fury. But I also knew the empire had cracked. I wasn't their pawn anymore. Still, loneliness came in waves. Some nights I missed the warmth of comfort, the illusion of safety. I wondered if I'd made a terrible mistake. If I'd destroyed my life over words, then I'd remember, little sister. And the doubt vanished. I hadn't ruined my life. I'd reclaimed it. A year passed. I was no longer Charlotte Hayes, the almost Mrs. Pierce. I was a respected cybersecurity analyst, someone known for precision, integrity, and grit. That morning, I stood in front of a packed auditorium for my final presentation, a new network security model I'd spent 6 months building. Confident, steady, free. This, I said, pointing at the screen, is how we create value, not through inheritance, not through mergers, but through code. Every line written with clarity and truth. A system no one can buy or manipulate, applause erupted. Nathan smiled from the front row, not with admiration, but with genuine pride. Afterward, he approached me. "You did incredible, Hayes," he said simply. "Sentinel Security's been asking about you. They'll pay well, they should. You've built something real." "Thank you, Nathan," I replied softly. "You taught me something important. That data doesn't lie," he smiled. "You taught yourself." I just translated. That evening, I made a call I'd avoided for a year. "Home," my mother answered, her voice trembling. "Charlotte, sweetheart, are you okay?" "We were wrong. We put ambition before you. We miss you." "I'm okay, Mom," I said. "Better than ever. I've got a job. A life I built myself." When I hung up, peace settled over me. I didn't need their forgiveness. I'd already forgiven myself. Later that night, Nathan showed up with takeout and that easy, crooked grin I'd grown to love. We ate, laughed, talked about algorithms and deadlines. When he reached for my hand, I didn't pull away. It wasn't obligation. It wasn't performance. It was choice. Before bed, I stood by the window watching Atlanta's lights shimmer against the dark. Somewhere back in Maine, the wedding dress still hung untouched in my childhood closet. Once, it had symbolized everything I thought I needed. Now, it was just fabric. My real wedding gown was woven from choices. Messy, brave, imperfect ones. People might still whisper that I was the runaway bride. Let them, I know better. I didn't run from love. I ran from a lie, and that wasn't madness. That was courage.